We cannot hear you.
You're muted.
Sorry. It's been a night of fun. Sorry, my bad, everybody. Sorry. Greetings and welcome, viewers. I am Raven. I play Annabelle the Nosferatu. Thank you for joining us while we delve into the world of darkness with Vampire the Masquerade. The stream is intended for a mature audience and does contain mature themes that may not be suitable for all viewers. This game revolves around a dark horror theme, contains content that may be an emotional trigger for some audience members. Please keep in mind that this is a work of fiction. The views and actions of the characters are not explicitly the views or actions of the actual players. At no time should any of the violence or horror portrayed in our game be attempted by anyone at any time for any reason. Please sit back, grab a drink and a snack, and join us on the shadowy path that is the world of darkness. And now, for the rest of the players to introduce themselves.
Hi there, I am Virginia Stone, known as canadasamson on Twitch.
Zeke, you're muted if you're talking.
That would be why. There we go. I am Mr. Ezekiel White, played by Mr. Mitwad on Twitch.
I'm Sail on Twitch. I'm playing Toon.
I am Brand the Wolf on Twitter at Brand the Wolf, and I am playing Major Thomas Delaney.
Hey, I'm Chase. I'm playing Jonathan Keats, the Thin Blood.
And welcome, viewers. I am Solvanov, aka the Dark Druid. I'll be your host and storyteller for the evening. Please excuse and apologize in advance for my constant snifflings. I will try to keep my mic muted when my mouth is not running. When we left off last week, the members of the Coterie were sequestered at the Chantry. Mr. Jonathan Keats, Tim Toon, Ezekiel White, Virginia Stone, and Annabelle had been in conversation with Kyla before she had to go and speak with members of the domain and the powers that be. Her goal, as far as our players know, was to keep them all from being dead. Dead. Finally dead. They left off their conversation teetering off. And what they could hear from outside or inside the room were the occasional raised voices, loud, directive voices. Some definitive arguing could be discerned from the inside of the door and the sitting room. Some time passes, the voices die down a bit. Time is ticking. An hour passes. 2 hours pass. Finally, there's a muffled conversation outside the door. The door is opened. Miss Kyla Lupo again returns to the sitting room. So, gang, decisions have been made. Your actions, whether direct or indirect, have caused ire from authorities, from the media, from the tower itself. This domain has been put in jeopardy. I've done what I can. I've done all that I'm going to do. And now I will take my leave. I wish you all nothing but success in your universe.
Thank you, Kyla.
I appreciate your well wishes, Primogen. Annabelle will kind of slightly bow forward.
She
Thank you,
acknowledges you
Kyla.
with a nod. She gives Tim a slight wink and Kirk's that weird smile of hers just because she can. She puts a weary eye on Zeke. Zeke, be mindful if you're talking to unmute, please. She puts a weary eye and dances it between Jonathan and Ezekiel. The look on her face is one of actual concern.
Oh, don't get all dark and foreboding on me.
Oh, I'm not. I bid you all a good evening. Uncharacteristically, she's a little overly polite, turns, leaves the door open, walks away. Mr. Miller quickly enters the room. If you all please follow me.
I get up and follow.
Yep. Go.
I get up wordlessly and follow, as instructed.
He leads you all back to the front door of the chantry. Opens the door and says, "Your rides will be along shortly. Please exit."
Good evening, Mr. Miller.
He doesn't actually reply. He seems very preoccupied. His forehead is wrinkled in consternation or worry. Not sure which. Probably don't care. As you walk outside, the immediate thing that you notice, there is a very large, stretched, blacked out limousine right in front. There's a driver sitting there. There are 2 security personnel on either side of it. And just past that, there are a line of armed, suited individuals. 3 of them
Looks like
wave all of you off to one side.
we have somebody important here.
I'll just nod in acknowledgement and move off to the side they indicated.
A team of 7 individuals now surrounds the 5 of you as you walk off to the side. They say nothing. They don't look at you. They don't make eye contact. I need everybody who has either status or politics to make an intelligence and politics or, yep, intelligence and politics or intelligence and your status roll.
And if you have both, go with what's higher.
Yes.
Second here. Should have 5. I have 4 successes.
Okay. Zeke?
Ooh.
Currently rolling. 2, 3. Crit. Bishop. Messy crit. 4. 2 crits. One was a messy, and 2 successes after that.
So 6 successes.
Yes.
Yeah, I have 7. I rolled a messy crit.
Okay. So each of you, a few moments go by before another team of security personnel begin to exit the chantry. The unmistakable presence and sensation of majesty precedes whoever's exiting the building. It is an unmistakable sensation of absolute awe Those of you who have experienced Majesty before will know exactly what this is, that it is that presence of someone powerful, of someone of note. A woman walking out in a very slender, white, body-tight dress. Handlers all around her. Everybody with 4 or more successes will recognize, if not by description, then by reputation, Justicar Lucindy. She pauses at the door, turns her head just the slightest amount to see you all in periphery, turns back, enters the limousine, and is driven away, her security retinue in tow, leaving you with the 7 guards awaiting transportation.
We'll light up a cigarette. Well, it seems like we may be a bit more fucked than we thought.
You'll notice Zeke grab a bottle of something, take a handful of whatever is inside, and swallow rapidly.
Okay.
Ah,
Few
the
minutes-
good stuff.
Sorry. A few minutes
He'll
pass
mutter,
by
the good stuff.
before a pair of very familiar SUVs pull up. You haven't seen these in a while. They are actually belong to the St. Clair estate. You may even recognize 1 or 2 of the drivers. The security detail that's with you splits you into 2 groups. Jonathan and Mr. Keats into 1 vehicle, the other 3 into the second vehicle.
Wait, Mr. Keats on by himself?
Jonathan and
or-
who?
Jonathan and Ezekiel. I blame the
bad
no
kids.
sleep and sinuses.
That's okay. Yes.
I was like, 2 groups, and Jonathan's in both. Okay.
And 4 of the security detachment get in the vehicle with the 2 of you. The other 3 accompany Annabelle, Virginia, and Tim in their vehicle. There is no conversation from drivers or security personnel. You are free to talk as the vehicles begin to drive away, unless you have nothing to say to each other.
At this point, I'm going to say, if you don't know who that was, it's a Justicar. I had a meeting with Fiona earlier.
Can we meet it?
Yeah, I'm willing to
Sorry.
bet that's not a good thing.
No. To put it bluntly, I had a meeting with Fiona earlier, and she said that the Justicar had sent people to assess the viability of this domain.
Yikes.
Just to let you know where we're at and how deep in shit we are.
I do regret taking that invitation to come back here.
You and me both.
Ugh.
Well, the sooner we unfuck this and get whatever else done, the sooner we can all respectively GTFO.
That'd be nice.
Highly doubt this is something you can just unfuck.
Well,
If they're talking about viability, Mr. Toon, this domain is already probably done.
oof.
So pessimistic.
No, I'm just speaking based on prior experience, Miss Stone.
Now,
But I know it's probably wise to keep our tongues shut around the help. So
Hmm.
The ride continues. Jonathan and Zeke, do you guys have any conversation, or do you just...
I'll take a look at Mr. Keats to see what his condition is like.
Well,
Offer him a pill. Candy, Mr. Keats.
no, he's gonna shake his head no, and he's gonna continue to smoke. He'd be like, you guys play any music? You know.
I don't think the gentlemen accompanying us to our fun times are going to be of much conversation.
No, I meant like, could they just play something on the radio just so I don't have to talk to you prior to my death. I don't want that to be the last thing I do.
I mean, that is justified in saying, but I think we need to work together to try to get out of this.
Oh yeah. Would you gentlemen in the front, would you also like to discuss how we're going to get out of this predicament?
The only acknowledgement that you can ascertain, the driver actually looks up at you in the rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It has a concerned look, but says nothing.
Mm-hmm. Look, yeah, you could play whatever you kids listen to now. What is it? 100 gex during Electra. What it?
He actually reaches for the control when the security personnel in the passenger seat looks at him just once, and he withdraws his hand quickly.
Don't be a sourpuss.
The two vehicles take a very familiar drive into the woods just beyond the regional airport in the direction of the St. Clair estate. When you pull in, the first vehicle containing Annabelle, Virginia, and Tim pulls to the front of the estate. The second vehicle continues around and disappears behind the building. They park, they exit the vehicle, and motion for the three of you to go to the front door.
I exit and do so.
Yeah, I'll head to the door.
They follow in close proximity. You get to the door. It is opened, and it is Alfred. Someone you are some of you are very familiar with. He doesn't exactly smile, but he doesn't frown. He stands resolute. He nods and acknowledges both Virginia and Tim. I don't believe he's ever met Annabelle.
Has not.
Acknowledges her with a nod. Mr.
Good
Toon,
evening, Alfred.
Miss Stone. It's
Evening,
a pleasure
Alfred.
to have you back at the estate. It, however, is under unfortunate circumstance.
Agreed.
I am told Mr. Costa will not be joining you.
Oh?
That is correct. He has been detained elsewhere.
I see.
And
Interesting.
you are?
I am Annabelle.
Miss Annabelle. Welcome to the estate. I am Alfred. Should you need anything, simply ask.
Thank you. Your hospitality is most generous, but I do not require anything.
Excellent. Miss Stone, Mr. Toon, you know where the boardroom is. Please show your associate there. You will be joined in due time.
Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you.
Welcome home. And he turns and walks down the hall. Jonathan.
I'm going to make. Oh,
No, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, going to make my way down there.
Excellent.
Annabelle will follow. So
They lead
Tim's
you.
just going to mutter home. That's an interesting thought.
Tim and Virginia lead you into the palatial estate, past the atrium and the gallery, down a hallway to where there is a very immaculate boardroom behind glass walls and doors. When you enter and choose your seats, of course, when the door closes, Annabelle, you'll notice that there's actually a pressure differential in the air. And the glass itself is actually photochromatic and becomes opaque when the door closes. If you happen to have a cell phone on you, you'll notice that it has no signal. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no Bluetooth, there's no cellular signal in this room.
Annabelle is
Jonathan.
going to pull her phone out though. She's going to start trying to like memorize phone numbers because she has a guess at what's happening. So
Okay. Jonathan, Ezekiel, you notice that
Yes.
they are escorted to the front of the building as your vehicle veers right and around the path that leads behind the estate. It takes
I'm actually
you.
pretty used to this treatment.
It takes you back around to the almost industrial-like loading dock area where supplies and such are delivered to the estate and what have you. The security team rapidly exit the vehicle and motion for the two of you to exit.
Yeah, I will exit
Oh, wordless.
and get a new cigarette and light it with the butt of the old one and just like kind of flick it and just keep going.
Okay.
Feel like no need to be overzealous, boys.
They're not being hostile. They're being efficient.
Mhm.
Everything about them screams tactical. This is not their first rodeo. They lead the two of you into the receiving area, past the loading dock, quickly to an elevator, and without pushing you, urge you to enter the elevator. They take you down a pair of levels beneath the estate, where
Does
they
this
march
ride
you.
seem familiar?
You've been down this to the security area where they actually have holding cells at the estate before. So yeah, this is familiar to you. You are escorted down a stark stainless steel looking hallway. Ends in almost like a vault-like door that opens up to a small area that has a pair of cells where a door is opened for each of you. And wordlessly, again, you are ushered into the cells. As they close, it's a hollow, empty, foreboding sound. Metal on metal, automatic locks sliding into place. Steel bars sliding into holes that are unseen, sealing off these rooms from anywhere else. Mr. Delaney, seated in the library at the desk.
Major.
Alfred, there's a slight, almost inaudible knock on a side door to the right as it slides open, and Alfred walks in, looking at you and Martin. Major Delaney, your guests have arrived.
The files, please, Martin.
Right away, sir. And he opens a satchel and pulls out a stack of files.
Alfred, please lead the way.
Right this way, sir. Alfred leads you back through the halls of the estate towards the boardroom, where as you enter the room where it is, you'll notice that the opaque photochromatic glass has been activated. Alfred walks up, pulls the door open. You see the glass becomes transparent again, and there, seated at the large boardroom table, is Annabelle, Virginia Stone, and Tim Toon. If the three of you would please describe yourselves for Major Delaney.
Annabelle is about 5'4", maybe 110 pounds. She wears layers of clothes. They're kind of baggy to disguise like her actual size and such. She has what looks like scars running across her face. Her eyes are sunken. Her lips are not quite right looking, the color wise. Her hair is also, it's kind of blonde in the best of conditions, but not really. And I think that's about it.
Virginia Stone is tall and willowy, though you can't quite tell her height while she is sitting. She has shoulder length brown hair and is beautiful. I guess that's one of her traits. And she's elegantly dressed in a simple black evening dress.
So Tim is about 5'11", kind of wiry fellow. Has brown hair that's kind of shaggy, goatee and beard, the whole nine. Tattoos.
And if you would, sir, return the favor.
Yes, the man that you see walk in is north of 6 feet. Has hawkish features, but not unpleasant. In the right light, one might even say he looks beautiful as well. He wears an immaculately tailored three-piece suit. It is purple with sort of a embroidery to it. It is cashmere. And he moves to the head of the table, sits down in the chair, leans back, crosses his legs, and looks to Miss Stone.
An associate
Good
that
evening.
was shortly behind him looks not unlike the security personnel that escorted you to the estate. He walks in, he's carrying a hefty stack of files and sets them down next to the major. Nods briefly to him, whispers into his ear, and exits the room, closing the door behind him.
I meet the major's gaze.
Good evening. My name is Major Delaney. You may address me as Major or Major Delaney. Please do me the service of introducing yourselves.
Virginia Stone.
Good evening. My name is Tim.
Really fast before I introduce myself, is based on what Annabelle has done and known, does the Major Delaney mean anything to her?
Probably not. He's import.
Okay. I am Annabelle. It is a pleasure to meet you, Major Delaney.
Now that that's out of the way, and he sort of intertwines his fingers, places them in front of him. Perhaps you all would like to explain to me what necessitates my arrival to these shores. Let us start with you, Miss. And he kind of rifles through the files. Miss Annabelle of Clan Nosferatu.
I don't know exactly, Major, but I assume it has something to do with our friend, Mr. White, and his shenanigans.
Would you care to go into any more detail, madam?
Ah, that's a puzzle I have been trying to put together myself, but I assume you know the whole picture. Though he seems to have killed a sizable number of kine in some sort of massacre. I don't know. Or is there something specific about me? I have not been back in this domain for very long, and as soon as came here, I was saddled with watching over Mr. White.
What about you, Miss Stone? Do you have anything that might cast some illumination on the issue at hand?
I look at his file and I look at him. I say, I do think that you have information. I think I'd just be repeating myself at this point. Everyone in the domain seems to know.
Indulge me, if you will.
I look at him a little bit longer. Pardon me, I've had a very trying evening. Well, I think my explanation would be very similar to Miss Annabelle's. I arrived in this domain and had the misfortune of getting caught up in Mr. White's, I guess, chaos would be a good way to describe it.
Indeed. And what about you, Mr. Toon?
I had the distinct misfortune of being present. Mr. White was a cult leader of kind. When Mr. Acosta discovered this, we attempted to put a stop to it, which is why we all showed up there that evening. And apparently he had gathered them all. And the word baptism was said, and a great deal of blood was shed.
Who said the word baptism?
I did, guided by Mr. White. In ignorance, not knowing quite what it meant to his cult. My goal was to separate, because I don't know quite how it ended up happening, but Mr. White's disciples had brought all of their children. And Mr. Costa and I thought it prudent to get the children out of any situation that could be dangerous. And I was not aware of just how delusional these disciples were, so that at the word of baptism, they opened their wrists.
I assume you're here for Mr. White, or are you here for the Sabbat element, Miss Major Delaney?
You all like to throw around that word assume.
Oh, considering what's happened so far, it's a safe assumption.
I would encourage you to remove that particular word from your lexicon. I'm gonna go to the control panel on the table and press the button to pull up the screen, and then pull up my very heavily edited interrogation of Agent Morrison to show him naming Ezekiel White, Virginia Stone, Tim Toon, Jonathan Keats as individuals on watch by the SI.
So a screen shows up, or I should say comes down out of one of the near walls, and what he just described is shown.
Virginia will visibly stiffen.
Is definitely an interrogation of some unknown individual. And the edited portions are him specifically pointing out names.
I imagine you all are wondering right now where Mr. Costa is.
Have been for some time, actually.
Right. Well, he's been, what is that delightful colonial phrase? He's been sent to a farm upstate. I am, for all intents and purposes, his replacement, and to a certain extent, your replacement, Miss Annabelle. Keep in mind that this is not a reflection on your capabilities, merely the scope of your mission. You will continue to overwatch Mr. White and ensure that his activities no longer approach the realm of a breach of the Masquerade. To that end, I am here at the behest of the Ivory Tower and the board to ascertain the viability of this domain and the kindred residing in it. Because you see, if all we did was send you all off to different places, you would take this let's be generous and call it streak of failure with you. And I would not see you poison what could otherwise be perfectly stable domains. To that end, we are going to work together to mend what has been broken and excise that which cannot be repaired. Cut it out like the cancer that it is. Am I being clear?
Keep fucking up and I get a tan. Got it.
Virginia says nothing. She just looks at the major.
Pause. The unmistakable absence of Zeke and Jonathan from this table really comes into focus as he makes mention of problems being dealt with. Jonathan, Zeke, as the two of you sequestered in your cells, a viewing screen appears visible on one of the walls in Jonathan's cell. It is of a security camera of the loading dock area where you all just a few moments before been ushered through. A black van, nondescript, shows up on the screen. A door slides open, and a retinue of security personnel, not unlike the ones you've already seen, exit the vehicle, pulling a woman with them who's hooded. As they approach the door and get a little closer to where the camera can focus better, the hood is removed. The face is unmistakable. It's Grace. And she is not being gently urged into the building. She is being manhandled. She is resisting. It's clear on the image. As her face catches an angle on the camera, you can see dark stains from all three of her eyes. As she is
cock an eye.
You can't see this, Zeke.
No, okay.
Yeah, this is just in Jonathan's cell.
Okay, you said the both of us could see a screen.
I am going to immediately, I think this is a frenzy roll.
If you think you would be so moved by seeing her presence there and handled in such a way, absolutely.
This is a rage frenzy, Mr. Keats.
Yes, this is 4 successes.
A moment, please. You succeed in keeping the beast at bay, but only by a hair's breadth. She should be nowhere near this building. How the hell do they know who she is? Where did they find her? Why are they handling her this way?
And I was going to be perfectly content to wait and accept any punishment that was dealt, but things have quickly changed. So I am looking around, going to, I'm in a tech-savvy cell, and now I have a monitor, maybe a source of electricity, maybe some way to short out whatever is
so it seems to
keeping me locked up.
The wall that it appeared on seems to be seamless, as is behind it, and like there's some kind of material in front of it that has become translucent to show the screen.
Oh, then I will rouse the blood and I will bash the shit out of it.
By all means, please rouse the blood.
Failure.
Okay.
I'm at hunger 4.
Fuck.
The hunger increases to a level you haven't felt in some time. The urge to get anywhere but this little box is damn near overwhelming. The beast raging in the back of your head, screaming in her voice, help me, get me out of here.
I gotta roll my +1.
Is he pacing as he's looking at
2 successes?
You can't see him.
Okay.
You're in 2 different cells, and they are absolutely isolated.
Okay, I didn't know if they had bars or...
Nope. They are like steel boxes.
Okay.
I got 2 successes, and I'm not being quiet. I'm definitely like yelling, screaming, and bashing the shit out of...
Rage punch the wall to discover that whatever it is, it's a really dense material. It doesn't seem to be dented, scratched, or otherwise cracked by your attempts to assail it. It's incredibly frustrating.
I will
room now seems to
Risk.
have purpose.
Yeah, I will risk like using the bones in my hand to like get into this thing.
Okay, if you will roll me strength and brawl, please, 3 times.
Yeah. 2 successes. 4 successes. And three successes. So that is 9 total. No,
Oh, it's
yeah,
2,
9.
4, and
2,
3.
4,
Is
and
that what it
3.
was? 2, 4, and 3?
Yeah.
Okay. You, are going to take 3 superficial damage.
Mhm.
You are violently attacking the screen. The image seems to have frozen on her tear-stained face, and it stays there. The flesh tears away on your third hit from a couple of your fingers, bones nearly cracking. You can feel the rage manifesting as pulp and flesh smear whatever surface this is, taunting you still. Her face frozen on the screen. Zeke,
Yes.
audio floods into your cell.
Okay.
I need you to roll for frenzy, please.
Okay. Play a reminder of what that roll is.
You're going to roll your hunger
Okay.
and your composure for
Your
this
pleasure.
particular instance. And when you tell me what you have, I will continue with my narration.
Please do.
Once you tell me what you've rolled, I will continue with my narration.
Sorry. That is a messy crit. And
Messy critical.
1 success.
So 2 successes total.
Yes.
Okay. The sounds that flood into the cell bring to your mind absolute clarity and a rerun of what occurred the night of the baptism of blood. It's as if someone actually got a recording of what went on there. The screams, the terror, the sounds of flesh being torn into by vampires is blared into you at unbelievable decibels, almost ear-shatteringly. It is a 10-minute replayed, looped recording of the events of that night. All the deaths, the sounds of people you knew and cared for dying, the screams of terrorized children as their families were slaughtered. And it does not stop.
It's at this point that Zeke will actually vomit all the drinks and food that he's eaten the last few days onto the bottom of the cell.
You had
Along,
2 successes on your frenzy check, right?
correct.
Okay. You can't take this.
No.
You are effectively in a fury frenzy. And there's nothing
Cool.
in this room to take it out on. It's just the sounds that will not stop. And they're over and over and over and over.
Could he take it out on himself?
Oh,
Physically.
you can absolutely hurt yourself, but your beast won't let you do that. Your beast is looking for something to attack. You are in a rage. You are in a fury rage. You are losing control. This replaying of this massacre is very visceral for you. Your beast revels, whispers things like, "We do it again. Wait till we get out of this cell. Whoever's there is going to die."
His voice that resounds against the cell walls is feeble, almost gone, as he tries to argue with this beast.
I would imagine the only thing rolling through your mind is, how do I get out?
How do I get out?
Right. There's
And
the sealed cell door that you were brought in through.
How tight does that seal look? Flush?
Oh, yeah, absolutely flush. I mean, you heard steel bars roll into place when it closed. Like a vault.
Much like Frederick was in.
Correct. Identically so.
We are going to attempt to ram the door.
If you will give me strength and brawl, please, 3 times.
Yes, sir. Three. 3. 1, 2, 2. 3, 3, 2.
You will attack the door, relentlessly pounding your fists into it until the pulp and flesh of the backs of your hands and fingers begins to smear against the unforgiving steel.
Correct.
This will continue. Back in the
When his
boardroom.
hands don't work, he'll start using his feet once his hands stop working.
Okay. Back in the boardroom. Major Delaney presses a button on a remote. And the view changes on the screen in the boardroom. There are 2 distinct images, both of which are fairly disturbing. One is Ezekiel in a cell, frenzying, raging against one side of the cell. You can see his flesh pulping as he continues to try and beat down the steel door. There's no audio, but you can see him snarling. You can see his lips pulling back from his teeth as he literally is attacking the cell. Likewise, the other image is that of Jonathan, over and over, pounding his fists into one wall in a cell. Anger, fury, rage crossed across his face as the Major continues speaking with you.
What you see here is a masquerade breacher confronted with the indignities that he foisted upon others. And in the other cell, you see an individual guilty of collusion with the enemy. Mr. Keats attempted to treat with, for reasons we do not know yet, with a very well-known and ancient enemy of the Camarilla. Whether or not they survive the night is entirely in their hands and your own. Let me make something perfectly clear. If harm befalls me, this domain will be cleansed of unlife. So it is in your personal interests to ensure that not only myself, but my associates are safeguarded from the depredations of these creatures. Do we have an understanding?
Yes.
Of
I think so.
course.
You all know the traditions, yes? None of you are fledglings, newly embraced into the night.
Correct.
You know what it means to uphold the masquerade. It is not merely something that is done when hunting and making sure that you're not caught or surveilled or leaving a... No. It is also on the back end for people like me to make sure that people are paid off, palms are greased, government agents silenced. We do this at great personal risk to ourselves. And quite frankly, when we have to cover up a fucking cult massacre, the likes of which is tantamount to, I don't know, Waco, Crystal Ridge, you can see how that creates problems for us. And please forgive me for my indelicate use of language, but needs must. You understand that this is a problem that must be dealt with immediately.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Certainly, Major Delaney.
There is a young woman who is currently in the custody of the Second Inquisition, an Agent Mohsen al-Daoud. Her name is Jacqueline Theory. There is a psychiatrist named Weiss, Dr. J. Weiss, who is currently working with her to unlock repressed memories. I would like to roll something to notice that reaction to that name. Or do I just notice it?
You're staring right at them. So yeah, you definitely notice it. And I think this would be a moment where the mute button would be hit. No, as in on the remote at your hand, sitting at the table. The Major, again, as he talks about Dr. Weiss,
yes,
the survivor, pushes a button on the remote, and the audio from Zeke's cell floods into the boardroom. You can hear the pounding of flesh on steel. You can hear Zeke raging. You can hear the replay of the night of the incident at the Marrakesh farm. Tim, Virginia, I need you both to make humanity checks, please.
What do I roll for that?
You're gonna roll the unspent humanity that you have. So less stains.
One less this evening. I
4.
have, I guess 4 successes. Yep.
Okay. The two of you maintain your cool as you relive this instance. But it is forefront in the mind. The beasts are reeling. They're reveling in the blood and the violence. He allows it to play for a few seconds, judging your reactions before he mutes it again.
Major. Dr. Weiss, yes. She is a recent acquaintance of mine. In my attempts to control Mr. White, to keep him in line and to protect the traditions, as you mentioned. She does good work, but I believe her role in everything is deeper than we know. Mr. White openly talks about things with her that endangered her, so I offered her my protection. Is that acceptable?
Give me more
I
detail. Give me
do-
more details, please.
Details of what?
Your interactions with her.
I have only been able to interact with her one time, but she chose to fight, to survive, to accept the power I offered her and my protection instead of death.
So you ghouled her.
Yes, Major. I did indeed. I felt that was the best way to protect her while also having access to some of Mr. White's past and thoughts. He may not be so forthcoming with me.
When did you ghoul her specifically?
It has been a couple nights
Please be
since I last
precise.
saw her. Sorry, what?
Please be precise.
That's as precise as I can be. It's been a couple nights.
So she ghouled her before they had the Second Inquisition brought Jacqueline to her.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get
Okay.
at. Steve.
Yeah. Sorry. No,
No, you're fine.
It's been so out of character. It's been like 2 or 3 nights, and the Second Inquisition thing was like 1 or 2 nights ago. So yeah, or days.
So
We're going to take
your
a quick
ghoul-
pause. The storyteller needs to AFK for a couple of minutes to take care of a problem, and we will be right back. Please, viewing audience, don't go anywhere. Sorry about that interruption, everyone. We're back. Please do continue the conversation as the viewing of Zeke and Jonathan still continues in the boardroom.
Miss Annabelle, are you aware that your ghoul, after meeting with you, has interacted with the Second Inquisition?
I was not aware. She has not contacted me yet, but I have been semi-indisposed.
Indeed. What you have a fair knowledge of the interactions between this mortal psychiatrist and a Malkavian. I'm going to let that sink in for all of you for just a moment. What would you say? How would you characterize her treatment regimen for our lovely cult leader?
Well, whatever she's doing, it ain't working.
Really?
Let me tell you, Mr. Toon, nobody can fix Mr. White. I have been trying hard to get him to understand his place in these nights. She, though, Major, she is doing the best she can. I have the feeling she didn't believe any of the things he was telling her. From what I heard that night, she is paid by somebody else on behalf of Mr. White. He sees her at their behest. I don't believe this is some trap of the kind, but she's doing her best with what she has, and Mr. White is a difficult individual to work with.
Your very first task, Miss Annabelle, is to utilize your very particular set of skills to ascertain who this mysterious benefactor is.
I can do that, Major, easily.
Thank you. Now, on to the matter of Mr. Keats. Mr. Keats, Mr. Keats, Mr. Keats. Who wants to tell me about what the fuck Mr. Keats is doing? Excuse my indelicate language. I apologize. It is just a matter of extreme frustration for me when we have traitors in our midst.
Understandable. I did warn him that that was a terrible idea. Mr. Keats, due to the apparent loss of his dear friend Percy, the same Percy who showed up with a guru hand. Yes. I'll get to that. Eventually, that came to bite him. His friend went missing. There was a great deal of blood and some strange marking on Mr. Keats's door. It was shortly thereafter that he felt the sudden urge to meet with someone who he thought could help him, and that's who he ran to.
So, instead of running to his coterie mates, he ran to...
We already said we would help him. As a matter of fact, Miss Annabelle made a contact on his behalf.
Yes, I tried to bring a friend from my old days back here to help us find his friend Percy, but Mr. Keats had already done the damage, and when I tried to warn off my friend, they told me to quote unquote get fucked.
And who is this friend you were going to bring in, this associate from?
He goes by Nose. He is a gangrel tracker. Sorry, and out of character, I can't remember the name. I don't have the character web up yet, so I can pull that up if you need it. Yes, Nathaniel.
A gangrel. An anarch?
No, he inherited the title from his master back, and I used to run with his master in the old days.
My question is where does this Nathaniel's loyalties lie?
Unless things have changed, Nathaniel should still be loyal to the tower.
I will take your word for it.
As
I do.
Miss Stone.
Sorry. I do believe that Jonathan's indiscretions come from his closeness to the Kine. He's very emotional.
I don't care.
I understand that. I'm just providing a reason.
There is no reason for treachery, excuse me.
Oh no, there's no excuse. There's plenty of reason.
The Major presses a button on the remote again. The screen fades and now shows the repeat of the previous morning's news flash showing the assault at the parking garage. And Tim's fairly clear visage on a security camera. Back in the cells, that same image shows up in both cells. The face of Ada disappears. The image changes to a repeat of the morning news showing Tim's assault in the parking garage, packing bodies into a vehicle, driving away, and it repeats. Jonathan, if you could roll willpower, please. One success is not going to be enough for this to get your attention enough to break your frenzy for the moment. Although now you do have kind of a focus for that anger. It's Tim's face over and over, packing bodies into a car.
I still am not. I don't care about this.
Yep. Zeke.
Like, he's a fucking idiot, but he's not priority.
The audio stops in the cell as you continue to attack the door, beating it relentlessly, snarling at it, showing your true nature. A view screen shows on one of the walls. Please roll your willpower.
Yes. Six. I had 2 crits.
Seeing an image show in what was otherwise nothing but a wash of horror sounds, the sounds of terror and flesh ripping, people dying and bodies crumpling in the floor. Familiar voices, all of which you could name. An image shows up, catching your attention just enough. Just enough to get the frenzy to back down. Now realizing the damage you've done to yourself. Bones being seen through ripped flesh. Smear of gristle on the wall. And there's your friend, Mr. Toon, savagely attacking persons, callously chucking them into the boot of a car. Sorry, the trunk. I apologize, guys. This is crazy.
It's all good.
It's just enough of a distraction. And it reminds you, again, of the terror that happened at the farm. People weren't exactly packed into a car, were they?
They were not.
They were not.
They were dumped on a trolley. I'm sorry, a cart, as it were. Stripped
Pictures.
nude.
Go ahead.
They were stripped nude and transported using a cart to the nearby farm. Where they were made into chow for the animals.
Somehow, the vision of Tim viciously killing people and just disposing of them triggers that thought, that memory, the process by which your own hands disposed of your followers.
Yes. being guarded by Soraka.
Back at the boardroom. Oh, go ahead.
Justifiable anger seeks into his face.
Back in the boardroom. Tim, your face plastered on the wall. The major
Perhaps
looks at
you'd
you
like
expectantly.
Perhaps you'd like to make an accounting of your own activities, Mr. Toon.
I missed the cameras. I can only apologize.
No, that's not the only thing you can do. But I digress. What was your motivation for such reckless carnage?
It's more than a bit peckish after a rough evening.
This is... You are an embraced member of the Camarilla. Yes?
Yes.
You are not some fledgling wandering about on their first nights. Are you, Mr. Toon?
Nope.
So therefore, I believe that it is not an unreasonable expectation to have you that you are able to manage your predilections, your thirst, your hunger. Is that an unreasonable expectation, Mr. Toon?
No. No, it is not.
Miss Stone,
Yes, Major.
you are a member of a high clan, a respected founding member of the Camarilla. Not you yourself, but your parentage. Forgive me.
The LED next to the handset alights.
Activate it.
Major, it's Martin.
Sergeant Spears.
Sorry for the interruption, but something's been brought to our attention that we think you should see.
By all means.
I'll be right in.
Thank you. You activate the intercom.
There's a brief knock at the door as the major's man opens the door, walks in holding a small USB, hands it over to the major.
Stand by, please, Martin. Plug it in and play it, or access it, whatever the case may be.
So what you see, and Virginia, you will recognize this immediately, is it looks like security footage from the Haven Club as the cameras pan from the front to the side to the DJ booth to the VIP section and the various other cameras that go through, where visions of something moving in front of the camera from the bar into the kitchen. The camera follows as it and someone else are dragged out the back door. Followed briefly, if I remember correctly, it was Zeke. There's a fuzz on the camera. Can't identify who the third party is. But Virginia, you recognize that this was the bartender that was drank.
I'm shaking my head, visibly angry at seeing that again.
You can see, as the video continues to play, you can see the body motions of Zeke talking to the unnameable person in the video after the body is pretty well slumped over.
Would anyone care to explain this?
He had no permission, no right to touch a single one of my employees. No right. I left my club in the hands of someone younger and someone who I thought more capable. But this video is proof that my trust was misplaced. I've been tasked by my primogen to make sure this person is aware that they need to toe the line, because this is unacceptable.
So this is Mr. Smith, then?
No.
No, this is Mr. White.
Mr. White. When I found out that he is...
Oh, excuse me, I misheard. Go on.
No,
you
you're
didn't.
fine.
No, I'm definitely giving him shit.
There is the Annabelle's kind of looking at the video. She's just kind of... So that's what it looks like.
Apparently, he thought that he could allow Mr. White to feed on one of the employees. We had a conversation about the acceptability of that.
Who is this he, then, if it is not Mr. Smith?
Oh, it is Mr. Smith. It is not Mr. Smith feeding this video, but it is he who allowed this to happen on his watch. Despite his protests otherwise, it was still under his watch. And I assure you, he was made aware that that is unacceptable, as was Mr. White. I told Mr. White to not shit on my carpet, if you will, again.
Mr. White learned the predicament he was in dealing with me that night. I can illuminate some things for you, Major. I am the mystery. He tasted my blood that night, and I started to bend him to my will in an effort to fix him. I was told to handle him, and so I was handling him how I saw fit, considering his disregard and blatant just doing whatever he wanted to do. I am probably in the wrong for not stopping him, but I wanted to see if he would do it or not.
Yes, my club is a great place for experimentation.
Miss Stone, I was operating on nothing except that I was to watch Mr. White, so I watched Mr. White.
Oh no, the blame doesn't sit on you. Don't worry.
This club is called...
Not my own choice, I assure you.
This club is called...
The Haven Club.
Not anymore.
Oh, is that so? What name would you propose?
Something not quite so on the nose.
I will have to bring it up with my partners next time we meet.
Pause. Back in the cells. Zeke, again,
Yeah.
the image changes. And it's the footage from the Haven Club of you and Annabelle sneaking out the back door with the bartender, drinking. And it replays over and over. Jonathan, a willpower, please.
Another one.
I'm going to allow you a reroll.
That is a 2.
Okay. The image on your screen changes as well. It does catch your attention. The hate doesn't stop. The fury doesn't stop. The frenzy fades just enough as you see the familiar scene of your Connex home. It's a very familiar scene. It's the night that the hand was posted up on your door. You can only guess that this is probably after the fact, that after you and Tim had vacated the premises, after he had come and tried to clean up a bit. A van shows up. This seems to be the security camera from your Ring doorbell. Several balaclavaed up, black pants, black shirt individuals carrying semi-automatic weapons get out of the vehicle, rush in to your home. You can hear the audio from the inside camera as the view switches to the inside of your home as it's ransacked. Particular attention is paid to two places. Your library collection and your lab are in toto boxed and taken away.
I think the beating was like really quick, like using like sharp jabs of like bone to like try to pry out like the panel, and it's just like slowly running out of steam, and I'm just like, this is becoming a hopeless situation.
It's pretty maddening. Your home's been violated, your friend's been who knows what. And all in a matter of a couple of nights, now you're in this cell. Watching an absolute violation of, well, privacy? Is that the right word for kindred who are caught on cameras or have their homes invaded?
Think so.
It replays the entry several times before it fades out. The image that fades in at the end of this is what was captured on the rear security camera at the estate of Ada. Blood-stained face looking up at the camera with fear and terror in her eyes. And it stays there. Back in the boardroom.
Mr. Toon, do you understand now what it is required of you when on the hunt?
Yes.
Miss Stone, back to you. The previously named Haven Club, new name pending, is your domain, yes?
Mine, Fiona's, and Beatrice's. We have all equal stakes in it.
Is this domain granted to you by the prince?
Player Dusty, is it?
No.
No. I wouldn't know. I'm just a partner that's been called in. I was called back by Fiona, so I'm not sure.
So presumably it's domain that it belongs to your Primus, Fiona. Your Primogen Fiona.
As I said, I honestly do not know, sir.
I'll look at my file and see who actually has the right of domain over the Haven Club.
It would indeed be Fiona the Primogen.
So not only is Mr. White. Sorry, Mr. Smith is on my mind currently.
Mine as well.
So not only is Mr. White a serial masquerade breacher, but he has violated the tradition of domain as well.
Yes.
And you were aiding and abetting, Miss Annabelle.
I suppose I was, but I felt this was a good opportunity to teach him a lesson, to force him to bend the knee to the Camarilla's will, as I represent the Camarilla's will in many regards. Not all. I don't try to claim my station is too high, but
I understand your intent.
Pause. Back at the cell, Mr. Ezekiel White, your screen begins to flash through a number of pictures, one after another, of every one of your cult members that was deceased. The image that is on the screen is almost like a government file showing date of birth, age, sex, race, height, weight, where they live, social security number. And it's each and every person. Files are being flashed one after another. And after all of the adults, it's faces of children in the same manner. All 18 of them. Pictures of them in custody of what looks like federal agents. Literally at the front door of the Succubus Club in Baltimore.
He has no emotion on his face. In fact, after the last image of the last child is given to him, ceremoniously, he plucks his own eyes out, using his lapel. A moment later, he regrows his eyes.
Doesn't happen that quickly, my friend.
Yeah.
First things first.
Yes.
If you intend to do self-harm,
Yes.
a moment. Roll your willpower, please. First.
There. Zero.
Okay. We don't need to do any other rolling after that.
No.
As you try to force yourself to damage your own body, in the recent frenzy, your beast steps in and gets in your way. Those cattle deserve what they got. Or did you forget who the fuck we are? Get out of this fucking box, you worthless child. Wake up, and get out.
Does the tone of this beast speaking sound familiar?
It's your own voice.
We did this, did we not? We decided to let this go on. We were content to hide with them.
Stop being a
love
coward.
them.
We didn't let it happen. We commanded it to happen. Own it.
We followed the orders of God. And God let
You
us
know
die.
there are no gods. Stop being a coward and own your shit. Get us out of this
You-
box.
You said it yourself. Mr. Costa is God.
You
You-
decided that for yourself. You needed an excuse. You needed a patsy. You needed someone to point the finger at instead of owning your shit. Now do it. Get me out of this fucking box.
If I repent, it won't keep us alive. We are we are fated to die.
Then prostrate
go
on the
and welcome-
floor and beg the gods for forgiveness.
You will do exactly that. Prostrating over and over for as many minutes as the thoughts continue.
Okay. Back in the boardroom.
Ever the dramatic one, seems Mr. White is.
Yes, we shall have to do something about that, won't we? I do not. Drama belongs on the stage, not in the midst of our own lives.
If only that were true, Major Delaney.
Beasts we are, less beasts we become, Miss Stone. We have a problem. And that problem is you do not you, the royal you, if you will, you all do not seem to understand the stakes. Annabelle, you understand the stakes. Miss Stone, I believe after recent discussions, you understand the stakes. Mr. Toon, do you understand the stakes?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what the stakes are?
For the Second Inquisition, that
For
is not
your-
good for all of us.
Not just that. The lack of adherence to the traditions, the lack of adherence to the laws, the very things that keep us off their radars is exactly what has led
Puts us
to
all at
this.
risk.
Indeed. The stakes are not just the Second Inquisition. The stakes are people like me are sent to these lovely shores to handle it. Now, I personally am willing to give each of you, including Mr. Keats and Mr. White, a second chance. Indeed, it is my mandate. There will not be a third. Now, this revelation, of course, of Mr. White being not only a violator of the Masquerade, but of hallowed domain of a primogen, will certainly have to be addressed. Don't you all agree?
Oh, of course, Major Delaney, but how would you suggest we fix Mr. White's behavior?
In my previous dealings with Malkavians, I find the best solution is to sow their failure into their flesh.
Major, would you like me to retrieve Mr. White?
Based on recent activities of his, make sure he is fed as well.
Are you certain?
No need to have him out of sorts for any reasons other than our own machinations.
Oh, if you don't wish to feed him, you don't have to. I can handle Mr. White with pleasure.
Very well, Miss Annabelle. Mr. Toon,
Sir?
you shall be responsible for the behavior of Mr. Keats. Should he get out of line, you will handle it.
Like handle?
Bloody Americans.
It is
Well,
a
it
valid
should-
question, Major. If
You will ensure that he is incapable of doing harm to myself or anyone else in here.
I thought you were going to give him the right of destruction.
No.
That's a
If I am
pity.
going to kill you, it will be at my own hand.
I like how
I appreciate
you
that.
think.
A man of action.
Very well.
Sergeant Spears, have them fed and escorted up here.
Right away, Major. He quickly about faces, steps to the door, lets himself out. A moment or two later, Mr. White, the door, you can feel the air pressure change in your sail. You hear the bars rolling back from the vault doors. You may not be able to see it, but what's standing at the door are 3 suited, armed security personnel. And what looks to be some kind of homeless person who is thrust into the cell with you. A single command is barked. Feed. You are summoned.
By the command of feed, do they mean to complete sustenance or just
Feed.
single-
You are summoned, Mr. White.
he will immediately feed? After slipping the homeless man something.
And how much of your hunger do you slake?
I'm going to slake down to 1. So just a single.
You force feed the individual that's thrust into your cell something hallucinogenic or otherwise narcotic that you've always have stashed in your pockets before rapidly
Yes.
going about feeding and following the commands of the 3 individuals standing outside your cell.
If they do not remove him after a few moments, he will take it to 0.
Okay, so you won't stop. They're not going to interfere with you. If you don't
If they
stop,
don't
you don't
interfere.
stop.
No. If he if he's not told to stop, he won't stop till that man is gone.
Okay.
He'll take the stain.
You definitely take the stain on your humanity as you suck the life from this person who was given to you. He goes limp and cold in your grasp, unresponsive, and you can taste the life fading from him. You can taste his life force giving itself up to you. As yet,
He He
Another
will draw
step
the eyelid.
towards the beast, who smiles at you, caresses you, thanks you, encourages you. Now get me out of this fucking box.
He will tenderly caress the homeless man's face, close his eyes, look him over. Does this man look familiar?
Not in the least.
Shame.
Other than the fact
There's
that he
one
now
more.
looks dead.
I didn't know if it was just one of the gentlemen I made acquaintances with at one point. But he will get up, look at the men, and
One moment,
just
Zeke.
give
One
him
moment.
a
Okay, go ahead. I just needed to check something.
he will assume a either handcuff position or whatever submission position allows them to handle him outside the room if that is his.
They don't
Order.
try to put a hand on you. One leads the way, and two are behind you as they urge you wherever they're taking you.
I will call out if I can be heard to Mr. Keats. It seems my time has come, Mr. Keats. I finally get to live as you do. Perhaps in the next life we will meet again. I do consider you quite valuable. Enjoy what is left for you, as the gates now call me home.
They say nothing, respond in no way other than to urge you forward.
And you will move forward quicker.
Jonathan, a couple of minutes pass by, and likewise, you could hear the door unlock. You could hear the bars rolling back inside itself. You could feel the air pressure change in the cell. There is a person thrust inside your cell as three security personnel stand outside. Unconscious.
They can't see me, can they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, who?
No, they can see me. The guards.
Yeah, they're staring right at you. They've opened the door and they've thrown a person in there and bark a single command. Feed. You are summoned.
How quaint. This person is conscious,
Unconscious.
unconscious. Just going to with kind of like 1.5 arm, just prop them like up in the corner and just kind of brush their hair out of their face and just give them a gentle kiss on the cheek, and I will leave.
Okay. They also do not attempt to manhandle you. They make space for you to walk between a person in front and two behind you as they march you away from the cells.
I will follow them. I'll be like, I'm just gonna talk to them and be like, take me to whoever I need to fucking make deals with.
And they lead you to the elevator. Back in the boardroom, Virginia, I think you were about to say something when I cut away.
I don't remember.
So yeah, he had ordered his man to retrieve Mr. White and Mr. Keats. To which Martin, quickly about faced, acknowledged the command, and left the boardroom.
I remember what I was going to say. I'm going to look at the major, say, I have a sort of gesture of good faith, I think. One that might interest you.
By all-
Recently, I was almost abducted. Unfortunately, one of the gentlemen met his end, not by my own hands. The other gentleman, I have begun the process of cooling. However, I do believe he might be an agent of the agency that you are referring to this evening.
Hmm. Hmm. And where is this individual located, Miss Stone?
Hogtied in his underwear in a room in my basement of my haven.
Hmm. Your haven that is compromised.
No, this is an uncompromised haven, the last one I have.
Brilliant! Redundancy is wonderful, is it not?
Money does lots of things.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But only so much.
Mm-hmm.
We will speak on that more later.
Of course.
In the meantime, continue the process, and might I recommend a softer hand as you proceed to engender his affection towards you?
I have my charms.
I'm sure you do. They are going to be brought up presently. Is everyone aware of their responsibilities?
Sit here and look pretty. Got it.
Additionally, be a voice of reason, Miss Stone.
I will attempt it.
Miss Annabelle, are you aware of your responsibilities?
Oh, yes, Major. I am to continue trying to fix Mr. White's misbegotten ways.
Mhm. I mean, in the immediacy, you are to ensure that no harm befalls myself or anyone else in this room.
Of course, of course. If he tries to do anything, he will.
Suffer.
He will regret that.
Indeed. And Mr. Toon, you are aware of your duties in the impending tete-a-tete.
Yes. Yes, I am.
As he
Brilliant.
says yes, the door opens as Martin walks through back towards the head of the table. He leans to the major and whispers in his ear, letting him know that Mr. White had once again committed murder in the estate of St. Clair, and Mr. Keats had refused to feed. He stands, takes his place behind you and to the right in the corner as the first set of 3 security personnel deposit Mr. White at the entry to the boardroom. Zeke, the lead person, steps out of the way, and as you look into the boardroom, there sits Annabelle, Virginia, Tim, and someone you do not recognize, sitting where most often you would find Victor Costa sitting.
I will shift my attention slowly to the new person, giving a slight side glance to Annabelle only, before shifting my entire attention to this new person.
Zeke has the stain of fresh blood on his chin and neck.
Have a seat, Mr. White.
No words come out of his mouth, but to sit.
Mr. Keats. Been made aware that you decided to acquiesce from offered nourishment. Would you care to explain why?
Not particularly.
Very well. Let me try a different tact. Why don't you tell me regardless?
As
You know,
Mr.
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
walk up close to you. Are you wearing like a suit?
Martin wouldn't let you get within 10 paces of me.
Okay. Are you?
But
You
yes, I
speak-
am wearing a suit.
Just gonna go up and be like, your tie is slightly off. I was just gonna fix that while we were talking.
Martin definitely approaches from where he was standing behind him and to the right. Bodily interceding. Says nothing.
No, these are my last moments. I'd rather not cause any additional suffering, especially to someone who probably doesn't deserve it.
Have a seat, Mr. Keats. Next to Mr. Toon, if you please.
Oh, is he?
Tim's gonna pat the chair.
As
Over here.
I just
Jonathan-
before we get
Go ahead.
before we get this nonsense started, just want to find out about Ada, and I will comply.
We will come to that, but we have more pressing issues at hand.
Not for me.
I didn't ask what your pressing issues were, now did I? Now have a seat.
I'll sit next to Tim.
Everybody is finally seated at the table. That is where we're going to take our first break for the evening, everybody. Hope you all are enjoying the session for the evening. We're going to take a quick 7 to 10 minute break, and we will be back very, very soon. I hope you all stick around for the latter half of our evening. Choices and consequences are strange bedfellows at best. Hope to see you all when we come back from break. Thank you, viewers, for sticking around and putting up with our brief pause. I hope you are still here and anxious to get started again. And when we left for break, we had the return of Jonathan Keats and Ezekiel White to the rest of the coterie, joining them in the boardroom at the St. Clair Estate, where Major Delaney, brought in to replace Mr. Costa, has been slowly but surely asserting himself with the coterie. Now as Mr. White and Mr. Keats rejoin and take a seat at the table.
Please, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Major Delaney. You may address me as Major or Major Delaney. I have been sent here by Justicar Lucinda to ascertain the viability of this domain and the inhabitants therein. As I made your compatriots aware of, should hair one on my head be harmed by any of you, this domain shall be scrubbed of unlife, and we'll simply start over. To that end, In preparation for my arrival here, I did do a bit of research on each of you. Miss Annabelle, Miss Stone, and Mr. Toon. Their sins have been addressed. But now we come to the most egregious of violators. Let's start with you, Mr. White. You violated not only the tradition of the Masquerade, but the tradition of domain. If you have something to say that will save your life, I highly recommend you say it.
Quick player to player. Is Annabelle's order to not to speak to anyone but the coterie active?
I released your tongue at the chantry, so you are free to speak whatever you need to say.
Thank you. Mr. White will sit straighter. Major Delaney, my sins are vast. As for the domain violation, I was given assurance by one of my new, at the time, coterie members that what I did was kosher to his standards.
That is
That-
one hell of a loophole way to look at it, Mr. White.
That, however, does not excuse that violation that I am guilty of and seek penance for. Major Delaney.
And what about the Marrakesh Farms incident?
The farm incident. Yes. After my
I don't need an
meal.
explanation of what happened, to clarify.
No.
I need to know what it is you are going to say that is in some way, shape, or form going to prevent me from cutting your head off.
You do it again.
He will thump his own head lightly to try to quell the beast. Straighten up immediately. I was given order by someone who, as he looks around the room for the first time, quickly, then attention shifting straight back to the major, is no longer, I assume, with us. He had ordered me to dismantle what was mine. He ordered me to gather them. He ordered me to make sure the children did not see what was about to happen. However, a slip of my own accord that I take full responsibility for happened when Ms. Stone accidentally ordered a unfortunate baptism. She had no knowledge that this word would trigger such a fevered bit of frenzy within them. I take full responsibility for each and every one of those children, each and every one of those adults.
Zeke,
However-
42 voices, every one of them nameable. Every one of them brings a picture to your mind as they scream in your head for mercy. They scream in terror. It's almost as if the sound replays, but it's different. They're pleading and begging.
I wish. No. Major, if you will grant me reprieve, I am worthless. And as one person in this room has told me, I do have purpose. However, if it is your decision to behead me, I ask that any and all crimes that I am guilty of go to my ashes. I do remorse those lives lost.
I don't care about the lives lost. I don't care. What I care about is the fact that your actions, the orders you chose to follow, and we will come back to that particular point momentarily, led to investigations by the kind. You see, dear boy, Miss Stone did indeed utter a word, but it was the system that you put in place that made that word so potent. You are right, it is not on her, it is on you. You followed orders. You said this several times. You know who else followed orders? Goering, Goebbels, Düring. They followed orders that led to the massacre of 8 million souls on an industrial scale. Tell me, was this all some attempt to mimic that particular frenzy? Or are you just mad? Have you fully given in to the curse of your blood?
For the first time since sitting down, Zeke will have put his hands on top of his head, squeeze lightly. I am no Joseph Mengele. However, I am no Goring. I am no Gables. Gobbles? Anywhom, I am not the propaganda of those monsters. Yet I've been always sick. Maybe the curse has taken too deep a hold, as it were.
So you're saying that despite whatever benefit you might provide, the risk inherent in your continued existence is just not worth the risk.
One moment, please. God damn it, Randy. Well, that is not for me to decide, Major Delaney. You are here, as I'm now aware of, to assess my risk. Do I wish to keep on living? But of course, it is all of our aspirations in this room to keep living, as it were. However, if some of the personnel I saw downstairs and at the mansion before me at the chantry are any indication, I would have been dead before hitting this boardroom's seat. I do have value.
Miss Annabelle,
Yes, Major.
you said that you are working with excuse me. You've said that you are working with him.
I have been trying. It has been slow going, unfortunately. But he
Any-
has some promise at times.
His appointments with the doctor will cease. He will divest himself of whatever treatment regimens she has provided him, and you shall be accountable for him.
Of course.
Mr. White, do you understand what that means?
I am no longer to get better with the good doctor's help. I am no longer to take her medications. And I am no longer to associate with that form of healing. Am I right, Major Delaney?
Do you understand what the term accountable means?
My actions false. I'm sorry. My actions fall upon hers. If I jump, she's the one to tell me when. Am I correct, Major Delaney?
I think it means until you're released, your sins are hers to endure as well. Or
Thank you.
is that not the fourth tradition?
Very good, Mr. Keats. Very good. Indeed, when you fuck up, she will suffer.
If I may stand, Major Delaney.
No.
Very well.
Just say yes.
I'm going to, and he raises his hand as he says this, reach into my breast pocket and take out said medication and place it upon the table. May I?
What is your intent, Mr. White?
To show remorse that I can change.
I don't care about empty gestures in this moment. I care about future success, Mr. White. I'm merely trying to ascertain whether or not you understand that the gravity of your actions shall be felt by Miss Annabelle as well as yourself.
Just
That
tell him yes.
We do not lie. The truth is sacred. Pardon me, Major. I am full aware that my actions are her actions. I do not belong to myself anymore. I belong to her.
Tell him the truth.
Any
Lies are can't lie. Truth is sacred. Tell him you'll do it again.
he will scratch at his skull. I will not lie to you, Major. In fact, if I should look into your eyes to say this, I will.
I do not look him in the eyes.
I don't look him in the eyes either. Play to player, smart man. I will say this as a vow. My actions are no longer my own.
Major Delaney, I must apologize. My page, ward, whatever, he has a tendency to talk in circles incessantly for no reason. It's a simple yes or no, Mr. White. Say yes or no. You have the choice to say yes or no. This might be the last time you have a choice.
She says
Just
that Martin.
know.
As she says that, Martin picks up the remote. Sorry.
Just
Martin-
no, go ahead.
Martin picks up the remote, pressing a couple of buttons. Displayed on the view screen is the recently evacuated cell of Jonathan Keats. Still, the offered sustenance in the room. There's a second individual. It is Ada. And she is pacing back and forth. Blood stains down her face. You can see her mouth screaming. And much like Mr. Keats and Mr. White, she begins punching at the walls. Before she turns, you see her pause in her fury. She turns to the woman that Jonathan refused, and she attacks her. It's bestial. It's vicious. It is not pretty. Clearly, the person on the monitor is full on in frenzy and taking it out on the only thing that's there to soak the anger. The screen pauses as you can see her head turned in mid-bite. A third eye on her head has gone absolutely black.
Storyteller, I would like to ride a wave of intense anger.
And what do you intend to do with this wave of anger? There's no role for riding the wave. I mean, it just happens.
Yeah. I'm
So
going to try to go to her. And if anybody tries to stop me, they're probably not going to like it.
So as Annabelle speaks and this video starts to play out, Tim, you're right next to him. I'll give you wits and awareness.
Can my dear Sergeant Spears?
2 successes.
So, Tim, you see a slew of emotions run across Jonathan's face.
You've probably seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
They settle on fury and anger.
Mm-hmm.
You can see his muscles tensing.
Uh-huh.
You can see him white knuckle gripping the chair as he looks about to pounce.
I'm gonna grab the back of his neck.
Several things happen at one time. Jonathan, the frenzy takes hold. The hunger drives it exponentially as you see her again in terror, in anger, caged like an animal, clearly being subjected to something that has caused her to frenzy. And you see her lash out at this human whom you at least did your best to protect, even at your hunger. It's too much. It is absolutely too much. You coil like a snake. Tim Toon, what are you doing? You're putting your hand on the back of his neck?
Yeah, I'm like gripping him.
Okay, so that'll be
firmly.
a grapple of strength and brawl.
I'm also going to rouse. I do not get hungrier.
Okay.
So, gives me the full dice pool.
Gonna roll, but I don't think it's necessary.
You don't need to roll. You're
you sure?
already riding a wave. No, I was talking to Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
Unless you were talking about rolling for something else, because
No, I was talking about rolling for like strength and athletics to try to get away.
Oh, you absolutely have it. You are preemptive, actually. I just wanted Tim to make the roll so that I could continue with the scene. So you absolutely have the frenzied strength of a vampire driving your motions.
8 successes.
So Tim attempts to grab you. What do? You can sense and feel. You see him moving. You see him.
Mm-hmm.
You can see him as that fury takes over. You see him reaching over at you. You have a preemptory action. You already declared that you were riding this wave. Frenzy is going to drive you to limits.
Yeah, I am going to. If I see Tim going for me, I am going to try to strike him like with all of my might.
Sure. And so are we just straight brawling?
Yeah.
So strength and brawl, you can add your potence. I'm sorry, yeah, your blood potence. Oh, wait. That's
I don't have any.
Sorry, habit. And you didn't do any.
I
You didn't
buffed a
take anything.
while ago, but I don't think that's what counts as the same scene.
No, definitely not. So yeah, strength and brawl, sir.
Oh shit, 3. That's the best I could do.
Tim, you will take 2 superficial damage as he strikes out at you. Half that round down to 1 because of your fortitude.
Oh, and the toughness. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it's as you go to grab him, his whip snap reflexes, it surprises you. He turns and strikes you straight in the chest. You do grab him.
Okay.
But it's like,
and I have a hold of him.
The moment before you do, that's when he strikes you, and it's a very surprising speed, and you can tell by the look on his face that he is broken into a frenzy. He is all about whatever is going on through his brain. The rest of you see this. What are you doing?
I'm answering the major. Yes. However, I'm taking no further action, just saying yes to the question. You are muted, Mr. Toon.
No. I was waiting for him to call on me.
Annabelle's not doing anything. She's just watching because Mr. Keats is Mr. Toon's problem at this time.
Same.
Okay.
Seeing Mr. Keats lose absolute control like this,
Are you taking any action? This is happening at the speed of frenzy.
Mr. Toon has him restrained.
He's grabbed a hold of him. Whether or not he's restrained is an entirely different story.
I will look at Martin and I will nod for Martin to assist Mr. Toon.
Okay.
And Mr. will successfully rouse for fortitude. Or no, wait, he doesn't have to rouse for fortitude. It's free. I'm an idiot.
Jonathan, you are grabbed. You successfully punched Tim square in the chest.
Ow.
What do you do?
Let me go. Why the fuck do you have her?
I would strongly suggest you sit the fuck down.
Or what?
Are you conversing or riding the wave?
I think, yeah, it's like snarls and like me trying
Okay.
like broken talk, but like that's what's
Okay. I got it.
So that's what you're trying to express, but what I hear is snarls and general grunts.
He's
broken words probably.
Yeah.
in I don't know if it's terror or fury frenzy, but that's where he's at. You guys saw what happened to him in the cell, and now they've put up something else on the screen. I don't think any of you have ever met Ada, so you don't know who she is. But his reaction to her was very guttural, visceral, and immediate.
No, you mentioned to me that she was a salubri.
No, not Salubri, but I mentioned that I know a person named Grace.
I know her vaguely from Fiona. I don't know the face to her, but I'm assuming that's who she is.
Right.
Okay, so I would know generally who that is to you.
And last episode, I mentioned like to the coterie, like I have one person to contact with my probable death that is at hand, and you could probably put 2 and 2 together and be like, "Hey, that's the person."
Gotcha.
Mr. Keats, how long has she been in the city, player to player?
She's new to the city, or newer.
Okay, then I would know her.
Nope. So Mr. Keats flailing, yelling in Tim's impossibly strong grip.
I'm reaching for a steak, like 0 questions. Just that's it.
Well, Martin approaches but does nothing, seeing you grab for something in your jacket, although he does put himself bodily between you, Jonathan, and the Major. He looks poised and ready to take action. Jonathan, your focus is right in front of you. He's got a hold of you. There's almost a tunnel vision except for that thought in the back of your head that she's down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to try to get away again.
Okay.
Strength brawl versus strength brawl.
Yeah. I was just trying to see if you might have anything that'll help you in that, but that's about what you've got is strength
The
brawl.
only other thing I would have is athletics, but
you can certainly do athletics. Or Tim, I know what his role is.
So I get 2 of the specialties, right?
You can only use
Just
one at a
one.
time.
Okay. So I would use
Specialties
staking
don't
then.
stack.
Yeah, okay. Strength and brawl, right?
That's correct.
Oh, you're trying to stake?
Yeah.
That's melee.
Oh, if that's melee.
Okay, so strength and melee.
You got to get 5 successes over me or 6? I don't remember.
Yeah. 5.
Oh, it's still the same.
So I rolled
Same dice
2.
pool for Tim.
Oh shit! 9 successes, a critical.
Jonathan, I think you need
I got bad news, John.
5 successes.
It's a good thing I have vampiric resistance as a thin blood, but yes.
How will that affect this?
Normally, kindred. I mean, thin bloods take damage like humans do, and that would just be it. But I do.
Okay, kindred resistance gives you the resistance to ag and can soak a little bit of superficial. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
But in effect, you don't have 5 successes to keep him from staking you.
No, I am staked.
So what happens in the blink of an eye while Annabelle's having a conversation, the Major is talking to Mr. Keats as the video comes on the screen, and he busts into almost an immediate frenzy. Toon shows once again his combat worth, and in a blink of an eye, grabs him by the neck, picking him up, and slamming a stake square into his chest.
My apologies for the abruptness. It seemed the best course of action.
There is a bad thing about staking thin bloods. In most cases, it would kill them. In fact, it probably surprises the major that it doesn't. It might surprise Annabelle that Jonathan Keats doesn't just turn to dust. They've seen Tim do this to elder vampires successfully. They know that he has strength and power, but here is the Duskborn dangling limply, held by the neck, and a piece of wood now embedded in his chest. Fortunately for the major, his conversation with Mr. Keats is cut short by the tumultuous event in the blink of an eye. Annabelle, mid-sentence.
Sorry, I don't remember what I was talking about.
That's
was I
fair.
talking about Mr. White? I think I was talking about Mr. White talking in circles. That's what I was talking about. So,
Yep.
I missed. As you can see, we have our hands full. But like I was saying, Major Delaney, we are capable. Though Mr. White, he does like to talk in circles and tell you things that are not important. So if he doesn't answer soon, you may dispose of him. I don't want to be saddled with someone who can't make up their mind.
The second she says that, the answer of yes, 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 yes comes fervently quick before it stops. Then 6 yeses.
Very well, Mr. White. That was exciting, wasn't it?
I
Well-
take my responsibility seriously.
Well done, Mr. Toon. Well done indeed. This is indeed the first thin blood I've ever seen that is able to withstand staking without just expiring.
That kills thin bloods. Ooh.
Jonathan, while you can't react, you can still see and hear.
Shit.
Mr. White.
Yes, Major Delaney, sir.
You will attend, Miss Annabelle? Mr. Keats, Mr. Keats, Mr. Keats, at which point I will stand and I will walk over and I will stand over him. I can see by your reaction that a test of loyalty is out of the question. Based on his actions, I hereby find Mr. Keats guilty of colluding with the enemy. And disloyalty to the Camarilla. Let this be an abject lesson to all of you. What happens when you cavort with the Sabbat. My kukri, please, Martin.
Martin does not hesitate. Pulls out a 14-inch long kukri blade with what is surely some kind of inlaid pearl and ivory handle and hands it over to the major without a word.
I had hopes that we could have all worked together for the betterment of this domain, but clearly Mr. Keats is intent on putting his personal matters ahead of the needs of the Camarilla. Are we all in agreement? Miss Annabelle?
It would seem so, Major Delaney.
Miss Stone?
Annabelle's beast hikes up in the background. Why didn't you ask for him? You've been wanting to taste that thing since you saw it.
In the back of her head, she's thinking to herself, out of our grasp now.
Virginia looks almost mournful. It seems so.
Toon?
I warned him. What more can you do?
Mr. White?
He will give the major his full attention, fighting the urge to salute the major. Yes, Major Delane.
I will raise the kukri. You know what? Take him to the cell with the prisoner.
Are you certain, Major?
Let them cohabitate for a while and remove the stake once he's secure.
Right away, Major. Martin walks the step closer to Tim and Jonathan.
Let us see what happens. At the very least, it will be interesting.
Mr. Toon, if you don't mind.
Muted.
My apologies. I hand him over.
He takes a hold of Jonathan and slings him over a shoulder, excusing himself from the boardroom, disappearing. The scene on the wall is still that of a caged beast frenzying. The room now clearly smeared with what was previously someone. The person in the cell seems to have at least calmed down momentarily. Seems to be almost sobbing. You can see shoulders convulsing as one might if they were weeping at a funeral. A few moments later, you see the cell door open. the body of Jonathan Keats is hurled inside less one stake, and the door rapidly closes behind him. Virginia, I imagine for you, this is fairly traumatic. You didn't dislike Mr. Keats.
Not at all.
Probably not even sure what he may or may not be guilty of, other than what you've been told. There's been no real proof presented. These things scratch at your convictions. Protecting the innocent. Maybe he's not. He's a vampire. But did he deserve this? Zeke. Same thing. Justice must be done, right? The truth must prevail.
Zeke looks like he wants to say something to the Major, but he holds his tongue. But he still has that look of, I wish to speak. But he does say nothing and nod to the agreement of everyone in the room of, this is punishment, this is just. Long may the tower live.
Tim seems less affected by the scene on the window or on the screen. Tim's a little more accustomed to the abruptness that is the unlife of the world of darkness. Annabelle looks on with almost a hungry look on her face, a slight grin of near amusement, in stark contrast to Virginia. I would imagine the Major looks on with, it's another Tuesday.
Major, if I may. Mr. Keats is guilty of much, I'm sure. And his emotions do seem to get the best of him. But I do believe there's potential. I think he might not have been properly educated.
Mr. Keats is over a century old.
That might be true, but sometimes teachers are not always sufficient.
I believe experience is the best teacher, and if he's been able to survive as he is for that long, surely he should know better.
While you are not wrong, sir, it does leave an ill taste in my mouth to see him treated so. Keats has always been rather good and respectful.
I was prepared to offer him a second chance, Miss Stone.
Of course.
Mea culpa. And what did he do when presented with the slightest provocation?
I have no disagreement with your judgment. I merely state that it leaves an ill taste in my mouth.
That woman tried to contact Sasha Vikos. Do you know this name?
Fortunately.
Zeke will let out a loud, audible growl, clenching his fists hard.
Pause. Jonathan, You are viscerally aware of being manhandled out of the boardroom. There's a pause in the hallway as Martin instructs the security personnel that have been waiting just outside, all 6 of them, to restrain you. And they do. They clap cuffs and ankle irons on you. Thick ones. They seem old. They feel old. They sound old. And again, your steps are retraced back through the hallways, down the elevator, back to the cells. You know exactly where they're taking you. There's no mistaking what is going on here. They get to the cell door where you were just very, very recently in, knowing what's on the other side. Your refused meal. And Ada. Martin quietly speaks to you. I'm going to remove this and release you. Do you understand? Doesn't really wait for a response. He knows you can't give one. He speaks at the door after pressing his key card to one side. Back away. Do it now. You're not sure if anything's going on, slumped over his shoulder, but the door is indeed opened. And as he slings you off of his shoulder, he very deftly takes hold of the stake that Tim had just put in your chest, gripping it tightly and allowing gravity to do its work, releasing you from its grip. And as quickly as the door was opened, and as quickly as gravity yanked you back to the ground, the door closes. Back against the wall, huddled next to now an unrecognizable corpse, is Ada. Grace. Blood tears streaming down her face. Her hands gristled and bloodied, the gore of violence covering the front of her body. The scent of copper blood and bile and bodily fluids filling the small cell. It's a difficult sight. It's a violent one. You've spent decades staying away from things like this. She drops to her knees in the back of the cell, holding her hands forward, not grasping at you. I'm sorry. I brought this on us.
I brought this on us.
It was my choice. I could have said no. And now we're going to die for it.
We don't need to die, just me.
Look around, Jonathan.
Look, I will give them every bargaining piece
In the boardroom, the major hits a button and the audio comes in from the cell. I don't have anything. They've taken everything.
You're the only thing that matters to me. The only real thing that matters. And I fucked up. Just, I mean, they're listening now, anyways, and
I'm to meet the sun, Jonathan, and they're gonna make you watch.
I still have things stashed. I can trade for your life at least. I don't care about mine.
That's not the path, Jonathan. That's not the path. She looks briefly
You were worth
to the mangled corpse. I've lost control.
You're a better person than I'm. A person. Do you know why I gave you that nickname?
Because you thought it was cute.
No. Because by your grace, I was happy again.
Don't give up, Jonathan. They're going to stake me out for the sun.
They aren't.
You can't quit.
Do you remember what Gabriel said?
Remind me.
There's a path opened, path for mercy.
I can't even free you. I can't even free you to have you take my own life.
I'm gonna take your life. I never did. But maybe I can give mine for you. And then maybe that's the way.
How?
Like I said, I will exchange anything, including my life, for yours. Now, look at the camera. Whenever you want to fucking make a deal or whatever, you fucking dandy.
Yep.
I would like to send a message to Martin to activate the intercom in the cell.
You can pick up the headset that's there on. It's not going to come. Well, actually, correction. We can have that happen. That's not a problem.
Or whatever method of communication it is.
No, it's cool. So yeah, the four of you are sitting there watching Jonathan in the cell. The major picks up the handset and asks for the intercom to be turned on, which you can only assume that the affirmative response was given as he hangs up the handset.
Mr. Keats, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You wish her to live?
Yeah.
The only thing the tower desires is that you uphold the traditions and serve.
That's not play games. That's not all what the tower wants. And I'll if you can look at my hand if you want.
He can't maneuver himself. He's kind of partially hogtied on the floor.
And therefore, Mr. Keats, that is what I demand of you. If you wish her to continue to exist, you will serve. In whatever form or function is dictated to you by myself or my superiors.
You don't have to do this, Jonathan. It's okay. I am okay with my choice, my path.
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want.
Now,
Jonathan, there's only one end. It doesn't matter what this monster says.
Now, to ensure your obedience to the will of the tower whose walls protect us all, your paramour shall remain a guest of mine, well taken care of, until such a time as I feel your service has warranted a release.
Jonathan,
Do we have an accord?
you see her begin to visibly shake as you two are conversing.
Yeah, we have an accord.
Very well, then I invite you to join us at the table. But I do hope that you mind your manners this time.
I'm
afraid-
nobody's tool. As she yells from the back, picking up, or picking out, I should say, a severed bone from the recently deceased. And she violently shoves it through her own neck. Standing there, almost challengingly looking up wherever Jonathan was looking, as she clearly wills her own blood from her body.
Martin, do be a
Gasping
dear.
out at Jonathan. I'm
Martin,
not
do be
their
a dear
tool.
and subdue her. Do be a dear and subdue her, please, Martin.
I will try to square my way over to her as well, like her being collapsed, and I'm pretty much bleeding from everywhere, so I'm going to try to have her feet from me.
The door unseals, opens. Yeah, you're at hunger 4 still. I mean,
I did roll a composure roll. I got 4 successes. I don't know if you.
Martin comes. Yeah, if you guys are chatting me in Zoom or something, remember I focus on stream. I apologize if you've sent me messages. Martin rushes in, stepping over Jonathan, and you all see this on the screen. He quickly takes hold of the rapidly leaking Ada. Backs out.
I'm gonna yell. Just let me help her. I'm not gonna hurt anyone.
Martin does not pause. He continues backing out of the cell, dragging her with him, closing the door.
This isn't part of the fucking deal.
The sergeant will ensure her safety and her recuperation. I promise you. And I am a man of my word, Mr. Keats.
Jonathan, you are left in the cell as the door and the bars slide shut. The mangled gore of your offered meal from but a few moments ago staining everywhere in this cell. The drag marks through the blood going past over you and out the door as Ada disappears from sight, as the last thing is the voice of the major giving you assurances that everything will be just fine. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end our session for this evening.
Dang.
Jesus Christ.
I was going to ask the major if we had the right destruction on the Sabbat in this domain. This bitch up.
Wow.
I'm going to wipe away my own tears over here. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jonathan.
Well done,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you.
Well done.
I made myself cry for that one.
I was crying, God damn it, you jerk.
That was tense. That was tense, y'all. Like start to finish, this whole night was
Rude.
tense. Good job, Zeke. Good job, Jonathan, Major, Tim, Virginia, Annabelle. Good job, everybody.
So you
Gotta shake
rate
that
that a tense out of 10?
Yes, sir. I would rate
I'll
that a
let him know
10
that-
out of 10 for sure.
Virginia
And what
would
a
have definitely
follow-
been crying through that whole thing. God damn.
What a follow-up from last week.
Woo.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, I do not want to kill him. I do not want to kill him.
I would have been okay with it, like it.
No,
like,
this
like,
does not. This
I
does
was
not.
totally like, you pulled the
fulfill
kukri
my
out. I'm
goal.
like, oh shit, did they have a chat like when I wasn't paying attention and they were like, yeah, kill me. What? Wow. That was really amazing, guys.
Oh, fuck.
So, viewing audience, like we do when we end our sessions every week, we like to go around the table and give a high point, a low point, and a nomination for extra XP for the week. And we also invite the viewing audience to also give us their votes and their thoughts as well. And let's go ahead and let's start with the new guy, Mr. Major Delaney. Mickey, high, low, and a nom, please.
I know you got. Yeah, I was about to say you got to palm out.
Yes, I forgot. It's the British blue. Yes. High was oh my god, I am still reeling. Jonathan Keats. Mr. Keats, that was quite brilliant roleplay.
Yeah.
Nah, it was. This is my legit first streamed game. Being able to look over and see Annabelle's pure glee at the about to be murdered, seeing Virginia about to just like melt from sorrow. Tim, holy
The scary motherfucker.
I'm just gonna grab this guy and just
Yeah. Hey, you said his sins are on me. He's frenzying. No, the fuck he ain't.
and
You having wood for lunch, son?
Zeke, the madness is palpable. I all y'all had individual high points for me. Low point for me was killing him does not serve my purpose. I need this coterie firing on every cylinder to get this job done. Killing him does not serve my purpose. I have a resource sitting downstairs right now that I might be able to manipulate, but I don't know what's going to happen. And it was that uncertainty that it's fog of conflict, whatever you want to call it. That level of uncertainty just had me twisted up.
Nice.
Who am I going to
Excellent.
nominate for XP?
Yes, please.
Is it even a vote this week? Like
Mr. Keats, Mr. Keats, how would you like to take my nomination and sod the fuck off, you bastard?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely peak bastard.
It's not how I intended it to go, but okay, cool. We made a deal. Let's do this.
Jonathan.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, high point with all the role play, all the interactions. Silvernoff, you included like NPCs, beasts, all that spectacular, awesome. Low point for me. I think it's still for
Getting
Jonathan as a character. No, not even that. That's understandable. That is a direct reflection of his actions. I think once we can get past the spankings from previous bad choices, and we can put it behind us, I think we could start like sprinting towards our goals and like actually functioning as a coterie, which I'm looking forward to. Nomination, I cheesy as this is, I think all of you played your characters the best I've ever seen them play, and I want to nominate all of you. Storyteller, I think they should.
I got you loud and clear.
One. Yeah, there wasn't a single time to where I was like not totally enthralled.
Excellent. Tim Toon.
Oh man. The high was definitely the atmospheric presence of having them in the cells and chatting with us and going through all that. That was mwah, chef kiss, right?
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Low. Don't really have one this week.
Cool.
As far as MVP goes, I mean, if everyone's a workable answer, I'll pick everyone. But otherwise, Keats.
Wait, I could have picked everyone because
right?
I was
No.
first, and I was like,
We
I'm
don't
trying to
allow
get an option.
I'm
we
trying to earn
don't
my
allow
slippery eye.
the all option.
Yeah. We do not allow ranked choice voting.
It's nice to say all, and we would love to give all to everyone every week, but nope. So at some point, Jonathan's gonna have to throw a name out.
I think there could be some weeks that we can mutually agree that, you know, like everyone was like a stellar performer.
I mean, like legit.
That was a
Legit,
fantastic
everyone
session.
was firing. Everyone was firing on all cylinders tonight, and it was a pleasure to walk into this. To have this be my real debut on this.
I told you guys, I feel very blessed to have the player core that I have. You guys are fantastic. Zeke.
Oh man, y'all did great.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I had to catch my freaking breath. I had to get a few tissues as well.
Yeah,
Jesus
man.
fucking Christ, Jonathan.
High, low, and on when you get a breath, sir.
Okay, low point. Start there easily. The torture scenes. They got to me, but they were effectively done. High point. Jesus fucking Christ, Mickey. You evil British bastard. I want to both give you a hug, a handshake, and strangle you with both of my hands at the same time. Beautiful. Nomination. This is hard. On the one hand, beautiful British bastard. On the other hand, I am still sobbing a little bit. Mr. Keats. By a hair. A single hair. You're nominated.
Salubri hair?
Oh, boo.
Oh.
Fuck you, Sam.
Annabelle, high, low, and anon, please.
I believe the low was that we didn't get to see murder. I so wanted to see murder. I'm glad you picked up on my smiling because I was expecting a show. Maybe dinner later.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Dinner and a show. Dinner and a show.
High.
Oh, don't
I
worry.
suppose the whole thing was probably a high in a sense. It was. I will admit my heart is dead and cold, so I'm not crying or but it was all fairly well done, I would say. The interactions were good. I know I busted Mr. White's balls for the whole circles thing, but that's been an ongoing dynamic between he and I.
Yep.
Please break my balls as much as you need to.
Shut up, Mr. White.
Yes, Mistress Annabelle.
I'm going to refrain
damn
from
it.
comment.
The nom probably give it to Mr. Keats since he's gonna get it anyway.
Wow, you got defaulted.
Yeah.
Virginia.
Not a auto parts store, it's the auto parts store.
Virginia.
What? Oh, yeah.
High,
that's
low, and
what
on,
you're
please.
saying. Sorry, I thought I froze.
No,
Again.
you have a task.
So high, low, and a nom. Oh my fucking god. Okay. So I don't know how else to express that. Yeah, Jonathan. Wow. So to explain a little bit of the emotional turmoil on my end here, Virginia just went through a pretty fucking heart-crushing moment earlier because she found out some pretty unfortunate information about her beloved Freddie. So to see that so soon afterwards, Virginia was really feeling for Keats, and she was really trying to stand up for him in the most passive way that she could. She tried. So that was a really cool high. That was amazing role play. Well done, sir. A low is that Sam Smith couldn't be with us tonight. That is unfortunate. I hope his aunt is feeling better. Yeah, my nom obviously goes to Keats. I don't even think there's a question.
All right.
Usually I'd go to the major, but it's Keats tonight. Sorry.
Low for me tonight. Obviously, my sinuses once again. I am not. I was not firing on all 8 cylinders this evening, so I hope it was acceptable. I think we did okay, regardless. Hi, start to finish. Just a fantastic session with you guys. It was absolutely a pleasure to RP with you guys. You guys are so much fun. You make my efforts seem effortless and worth every minute I put into it. Thank you guys. You make it fun. You really do. I hope you viewers see that dynamic with this table. Even though we as much fuckery and dumpster fire fueling as we do here, we actually have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
I'm trying, y'all. I just got here tonight. Give me some time. I got some chemical K in the trunk. We'll get there.
You did great. You did amazing. It's just Keats pulled out a fucking Oscar-winning performance there.
And
No, I'm just talking about putting out the dumpster fire.
Oh.
and welcome to the table, Mickey. Everybody, applause for
Welcome.
Mr. Mickey. Welcome to the table.
Thank you.
We look forward to
Yes,
seeing you one week to the next. We hope you stick around with us. It's a pleasure to get to know the major. Mr. Jonathan, by overwhelming votes, I believe you picked up the extra XP for a second week in a row.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Including from the
Anytime
chat.
that happens.
So nonchalant after
I
that
just-
tearjerker.
I just
will
want to like
definitely-
have you in the palm of my hand and just keep you there.
Thank you.
Big shout out to all of our viewers. Thank you guys for sticking with us tonight from last week to this week. I hope you enjoyed our session. If you are part of our community and a leader, please feel free to poke up your URLs for your Discords, for your Twitches, your Twitters. You have my blessing to post whatever you would like. We love you all. We look forward to seeing you in our after chat. We're going to run a quick PSA. And as Mr. Zeke pointed out, it was a tough evening for him, emotionally speaking, with a lot of the subject matter. And just want you all to know that we take mental health issues very seriously. it's pretty key. We deal with some really intense subject matter in the world of darkness, and we're not afraid to dance with the devil in order to explore those emotions. And we want you to know that we don't do it mindlessly. We don't do it willy-nilly. We are very, very aware of the effect that the subjects we RP with have. In fact, we had several meetings this week before we engaged in this RP about how we were going to approach it, how we were going to handle it, and how we were going to present it. And it was a group decision to take this route and to engage these characters in this way. So kudos to each of you in your participation. Thank you very much. And I'm going to roll our message from Mr. Chops. We'll see you all on, we'll link in the Discord to our Zoom chat. We'll see you after the PSA. We love you all. Good night.
Hello, I'm Nick Weird. You may know me as Chops. I'm here to remind you that your mental health is a very important thing. We all have problems. And sometimes it can be hard to share them because we don't want to burden other people, or we're too afraid or ashamed of the things we've done to even try. But your friends and family are here for a reason. They'd much rather hear about what's happening in your life than ever hear that something terrible has happened to you. And if you feel like you can't talk to your friends or family, there's resources available for that too. Please reach out to them. There's no need to go through this alone. We all need help sometimes, and there's no reason to feel ashamed or feel afraid to ask for it, especially if you need it right now.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, whether they are considering suicide or not, please call the toll-free Lifeline at 800-273-TALK. Again, that is 800-273-8255 to speak with a trained crisis counselor 24/7. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline connects you with a crisis center in the Lifeline network that is closest to your location. Your call will be answered by a trained crisis worker who will listen empathetically and without judgment. The crisis worker will work to ensure that you feel safe and identify options and information about mental health services in your area. Your call is confidential and free. Unable or unsure about calling? Text NAMI, that is N-A-M-I, to 741-741 to connect with a trained crisis counselor to receive free 24/7 crisis support via text message. Again, text NAMI to 741-741. You are not alone. Trained expert advocates are available 24/7 to provide confidential support to anyone experiencing domestic violence or seeking resources and information. Help is available in Spanish and other languages. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE. Again, that is 800-799-7233. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, help is available. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-HOPE. Again, that number is 800-656-4673. To connect with a trained staff member from a sexual assault service provider in your area that offers access to a range of free services. Disaster Distress Helpline. Call 1-800-985-5990 or text TALK WITH US to 66746. The Disaster Distress Helpline provides immediate crisis counseling for people who are experiencing emotional distress related to any natural or human-caused disaster. The helpline is free, multilingual, confidential, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 1-800-985-5990 or text Talk With Us to 66746. Again, the number is 1-800-985-5990 or text Talk With Us to 66746.